It's about to be. Let's do it. It's about to be. It's about to be. Let's do it. I know the money, oh that's strong. And the hate, oh that's long. But the crew, man, we stay on it. Yeah, the crew, oh we stay on it. Like a light, I flip the switch. Like a light, I flip the switch. We about to hit. Yo, get it running, I'm about to hit. And then I hit it, running, go all day. Watch me, did I do okay? Listen, I don't really care about the grip. Yo, me and my team about to dip. Game over, little flip. Shut it down, man, go and sit. Headed every day like big crit. Yo, give it to me now, that's it. And then I told my girl, go look at this. And then I told my mom, go look at this. And then I told my dad, go look at this. And then I told my crew.
All right, welcome to the Be Different Podcast. It's Wednesday. This is the first official podcast that we're doing right here. Fellas, how are we feeling about that?
I'm feeling pretty confident in it. I'm feeling good.
I'm feeling great about it right now. I'm excited to finally get this opportunity. I feel like we've been kind of going over some stuff. We've had some technical difficulties in the past. We've had some, I don't know about issues communicating with each other, but getting on the same page, you know, it's always a little bit challenging. So I'm really excited today that we're going to be able to get this out. And then we're shooting this, just so everybody knows, Wednesday around 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. And then it will be shout out to you on Friday mornings. So we will get that out to you. So some of the info that we're going to give you right now may seem slightly old, but to us it's brand new right now. So last night started the NBA season. The big game that was working last night was Cleveland and Boston. Cleveland ended up winning that game 102-99 over the Boston Celtics. LeBron James, he had 29, 16, and 9 for almost a triple-double. Kevin Love at 15 and 11. Kyrie Irving, who was traded to Boston in the offseason, he had 22 and 10. Jaylen Brown at 25. But the big story of that game, guys, Gordon Hayward, fractured ankle. Gordon Hayward will likely be out for the remainder of the season. Tough to watch. I mean, if you guys see that highlight video, I mean, his ankle went all the way over to the side. I mean, that's not how your body's supposed to move.
Very unnatural.
Yeah, that's disappointing, man. You hate to see a guy go down like that, especially in the first game. So hopefully Gordon Hayward's able to make a full recovery, and then moving towards maybe the end of the season, most likely next year, that he'll be back to full speed. But you could see it in the crowd, kind of how nervous that everybody was, and it's a reminder to kind of all the athletes out there that they're very lucky to have the opportunity to play and do what they do. So Cleveland got that win. Gordon Hayward, unfortunately, will not be there for the rest of the season. The second game of that doubleheader, we saw the Rockets at the world champion Golden State Warriors, and the Houston Rockets were able to come out on top. Rockets won that game 122-121 behind James Harden, 27 points. Nick Young for the Warriors, who they got in a trade from the Los Angeles Lakers, he had 23 points in that game. He led all the Warriors in scoring. So a little bit surprising for me to see Nick Young at the top of that scoring list for Golden State, but congratulations, Rockets. They get game one. I don't think that will stop the Warriors from getting to the NBA championship and winning, but we'll see what happens. Fellas, is there anything you're looking forward to in the NBA season this year? Greg, you look like there's something on your mind. You're staring off into the sky right now.
I'm just trying to think of the perfect answer for you, and I think it's the drama.
It doesn't need to be perfect. The answer doesn't need to be perfect. You're looking for the drama? What drama are you looking for?
Oh, there's going to be drama all season. The NBA is all drama.
There was a lot of drama in the offseason.
It's going to carry forward. It'll carry forward.
ESPN won't let the drama die. So,
gosh, that's true.
It'll be around.
ESPN has become just like a reality TV show pretty much.
And it's so sad.
TMZ for sports.
Yeah.
It's so sad because ESPN, when we were growing up, it was just the mecca of information. Top 10s were relevant. Right now, they're all just like skewed and BS.
Yeah.
And then now it's just like, for me, I lost respect for ESPN during the whole Brett Favre thing. It was a while ago. But when Brett Favre was on 74%, I believe, of the time, it was done. Show me sports.
I remember them going to Mississippi to find Brett Favre landscaping on his front yard.
Correct.
That was, I think, that's when they lost you, I guess.
That was it.
Plus, when ESPN, when we were growing up, I mean, the talent that they had in terms of their reporters and the anchors, I mean...
Because all the best talent was there.
You had all the best talent. Now, not to say that the guys are bad now, but I don't think they're on that same level as what we got to see in the 90s and the early 2000s. No. I mean, I don't think it's there. It's like Saturday Night Live.
Yep.
Right? Saturday Night Live used to have all these studs. Now I feel like it's like a second-rate comedy show now.
It's not that some good ones don't come out anymore, but the roster's not 90% amazing.
Yeah.
I think, Oklahoma City, I think they're interesting.
Yeah.
Just with the signing of CP3. And I guess seeing what Lonzo Ball's going to do, I guess that would be...
I hope Lonzo kills it. I hope he crushes it.
I think Lonzo will do well. Kyle Kuzma's a nice player. I'm also interested in seeing Minnesota, Jimmy Butler, that acquisition. That's a good, young, talented team. Tom Thibodeau, the coach there, I think he's one of the best coaches in the NBA. So I'm interested to see what they have going on. But nonetheless, I'm glad that basketball is back. I'm glad that we're going to be able to watch something every night. No longer are we just watching baseball and football. It's awesome to have basketball kind of back in the limelight a little bit.
I agree. College basketball, I'm ready for that.
You are ready for that, correct?
I've been ready for college basketball since mid-April.
Well, there's been a lot of turmoil in college basketball here lately, and we're going to get to that here in the first take. The first take, segment 1, and for first-time listeners, this is where we kind of go in-depth on a topic. Today, we're going to tackle a little bit of the FBI investigation. We're going to take a look at Rick Pitino, one of my favorite all-time coaches, Rick Pitino, Slick Rick, as many call. So for anybody who has been following this scandal, I mean, it's been pretty insane. Nick, I'm curious from your point of view, college basketball, how much before this FBI investigation did you kind of pay attention at all to maybe the money that was changing hands with players?
Well, I'm a born and raised Kentucky fan, so I just try to ignore it and pretend like it's not going on.
You have to. And I feel like that's what most people do.
Because, yeah, it's just like, to me, everyone's doing it. It's just kind of inevitable now. And it's just at what level, and then like how bad are you going to get spanked for it now? So obviously, Rick was doing some really shady stuff.
Well, I think he's been doing shady stuff for a long time.
Forever. And that's the thing. It's not like he just started doing this. So he's just getting caught now because of cell phones, right? And like you can track everything. So to me, that just means if Rick's doing it, there's a solid not chance that my boy Calipari, although I do hold him to a higher moral code, so I think that maybe he's not, but 95% he's doing some illegal stuff. And then so is just the rest of any other top-tier program, most likely. It's over. It's all going to come crumbling down.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how far that this investigation goes. It seems to have kind of quieted itself down since it came out on September 26th. But I was really interested to see the feds involved. I really didn't think the FBI would get involved in college basketball or college sports in general. And the fact that they didn't even reach out to the NCAA while they were in the middle of this investigation was shocking to me. And it shows there's really not a whole lot of trust in the way that the NCAA operates as a whole.
Well, that's the thing. I think that's exactly what they're saying is now they're a part of it too. So we're just going to skirt around you, and we're going to figure out what's actually going on.
I think it's, I don't know if you heard, but Pitino's actually suing Adidas.
I saw that yesterday. I think I read an article about it last night.
So this is hilarious. This is out of a Louisville, Kentucky newspaper, and this is the first line. Former Louisville coach Rick Pitino is suing Adidas and says the sportswear maker outrageously conspired to funnel money to the families of Cardinal recruits without his knowledge. And it's like, this guy, he's just lying to himself.
He said shocking, right? Shocking. That's what he thought of all these stories that are coming out. They're all the stories that have ever happened about Rick Pitino over the last 10 years are all fabrication. There's no truth to it, according to Rick Pitino.
Outrageous.
Well, I think everybody that has been following college basketball enjoys watching college basketball, former players, guys who are playing, guys who are coaching, understand that it is a little bit right now, without a doubt, a shady business. And just to give you guys and even myself an idea of some of the numbers, the NCAA each year makes over $1 billion on March Madness alone. Just that one tournament is over $1 billion. In 2010, the NCAA signed a 14-year, $10.8 billion contract with CBS and Turner Broadcasting. That was 2010. I believe in 2015, they actually renegotiated that contract and more money was added to that pot. Top coaches, as we know, are getting paid at high levels. Mike Krzyzewski comes out as the highest paid coach in college basketball, over $7 million a year by Duke University. And that doesn't include the perks that he gets from Nike. That doesn't include the perks that he gets from doing speaking engagements. That doesn't include the perks that he gets from advertisements. So just from Duke University alone, Mike Krzyzewski's over $7 million. Calipari and Rick Pitino, although Rick Pitino's been fired before that time, those guys are over $6.5 million. I mean, that's an insane amount of money. Even locally here, Coach Cronin at UC, $2.2 million. That's what's kind of publicly showing for him.
It's a lot of money in the Midwest.
Yeah,
man.
I know.
Woo.
Coach Mack, it says that he's at $1.5 million, but I don't believe that includes the endowment that he gets from the Settler family. So I believe that's a private fund that the Settler family here in Cincinnati, they allocate that money over to Chris Mack, but he's probably around that same $2.2, $2.3 million category. Do those numbers, they don't surprise you at all, right? I mean, that's probably about what you think?
Yeah, but 20 years ago, they would have floored you.
You didn't make that kind of money when you were a coach 20 years ago?
No, not 20 years ago. I think things have changed tremendously, and I don't think anybody saw how much money that March Madness, inevitably would make. I mean, that's become the big moneymaker for all of college sports, is that month-long tournament, and it's a spectacle, and everybody loves watching it, and that doesn't include all the money that's being thrown out it, as many people that are gambling on it, as much money as Vegas has on it. I mean, it's an insane amount of money when you start looking at it, and as we know, the players make absolutely nothing. They're considered amateur athletes, and then NCAA makes money off of it. TV, advertisers, they're making money off it. It's insane that this money is getting so big. Coaches are making so much money, yet the players don't see any of it.
Well, it's just like you already said it earlier, over $1 billion in a month. No wonder the NCAA sits back and says, I'm just going to look the other way. Shoes, do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Pay those little kids. Don't care. I don't have to pay them. They can keep their entry status. Do what you got to do. I'm going to sit back, make my money until I get spanked.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
I mean, it's rough. Hey, and I hate to bother you guys right now, but I believe Andy is out front.
Oh, the Mac.
If we want to go grab it, and then we'll keep going on this.
I'll grab him.
As much as you want to turn a blind eye to what has been going on in college basketball from a money standpoint, September 26th, when the FBI, the feds, come down on college basketball, I mean, a lot of people are shocked. A lot of people are surprised. And we're seeing college coaches from Oklahoma State, Auburn, Arizona, USC all get arrested. On top of those 4 coaches getting arrested, we have financial advisors, we have agents, we have shoe companies, high-up shoe company guys that are getting arrested for all of these things that are going on. And I didn't think that – I don't believe that anybody involved in the money going on in college basketball, I don't believe that any of those guys thought the FBI would eventually get involved and that you could see yourself serving a prison time for taking some money, for taking some bribes, allocating money from shoe companies to families. I mean, this stuff, it's pretty dirty. I think we knew it was going on, but now you can't turn a blind eye to it. Right. I think everybody is aware that this is going on. Even the fan that doesn't want to see it has an understanding that this is, in many ways a dirty business at this time.
And, it's one of those things that it's almost like they have to come down extremely hard this time. It's been going on for so long to make sure it never happens again, which it probably will happen again, but they'll figure out a way to circumvent getting caught.
Well, the crazy thing, too, Greg, is we're almost a month away from when the FBI came down on college basketball as a whole, and really nothing has been done. All the head coaches from those 4 universities where they had assistant coaches that were arrested, I mean, their programs haven't really come down on them at all. There has really been no talks or no communication with the public in terms of where those guys are at right now. I mean, which is a little bit shocking. And I know off the air we've talked about Sean Miller over at Arizona.
Right.
But he had an assistant coach who had been with him for almost 15 years, get arrested, and it doesn't look like he's really going to get any punishment in terms of his salary and his place as a professional head coach, in my opinion. But our guy that we really want to focus on today, we're going to focus on Rick Pitino. And the story of Rick Pitino has been pretty crazy. And, Greg, you mentioned it earlier, but he filed that federal lawsuit against Adidas just yesterday. And he's still claiming innocence and shock. But as we know at this time, Rick Pitino, he has been fired by Louisville. He will no longer be a college basketball coach. And when it comes down to him, Rick Pitino, you got to look at two things. You're going to look at Rick Pitino's ego, and you're also going to look at Rick Pitino's brilliance as a coach. When you take a look at his brilliance, Rick Pitino has 3 decades of work. The first team where he really made that big splash was at Providence. At the age of 34, he took a 6-seeded Providence team with Billy Donovan to a Final Four. And I decided to look back, take it some clips. I mean, he looked like a kid leading that team to the Final Four. And many people, estimation of Rick Pitino at that time, one of the best coaching jobs that had ever been done. After he took Providence to the Final Four, he then went to the NBA, went to the New York Knicks, took the Knicks to the playoffs after some brutal seasons. But all in all, got to feel good about what he did as a Knicks coach. A lot of fans were excited about what he did. Went to the playoffs, ended up losing the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan. After the Knicks, he went back to Kentucky, won championships with Kentucky. With the Celtics, he had 4 seasons at Boston before joining Louisville, where he just got fired from. He joined the Cardinal in 2001. He won a title in 2013 and was also inducted in the Basketball Hall of Fame that year as well. By the numbers, extremely impressive. I mean, you can't argue what Rick Pitino did on the court as a coach. The guy had an ability to recruit. He had the ability to get players in practice, get them excited, and ultimately in games he won. He won 778 games in all. He won more than 50 NCAA tournament games, 7 Final Fours, 2 championships with 2 different schools. He's the only coach to win 2 national titles with 2 different schools. So you can't write a full article about Rick Pitino without having an understanding of what he did as a basketball coach, what he did on the court. And you have a lot of people, I think, that still support him, some players that still care about that guy. But ultimately, I think that the article will start that way. You'll take a look at what he did as a coach, and then you're going to move on to all the allegations starting in 2009 with Karen Cipher. We had an affair with Karen Cipher, ended up having sexual situations with her at a restaurant. Ultimately, she ended up trying to extort Rick Pitino for a large amount of money, but that was kind of the beginning of the end for Rick Pitino. 2015, just recently, he had the sex for pay scandal. A woman by the name of Katina Powell alleged a sexual play scandal involving former players and coach Andy McGee. That was a very public situation for Rick Pitino and Louisville, and one that many people thought he would get fired for. He didn't. And then, of course, we have September 26th, the FBI investigation. An unnamed player, Bruce Bowen, was given over $100,000 through an Adidas representative to guarantee player status at Louisville. Pitino was accused of talking to an Adidas representative, Joe Gatto, at that time, and it made him aware that Bowen needed more money. So just a lot of interesting stuff going on in those FBI complaints. They referred to Coach Pitino as Coach 2, as we now know now, and the feds, the FBI, they have him red-handed, they have him caught, and Rick Pitino, instead of asking for some forgiveness, claiming some of his wrongdoing, decides to then go back at Adidas, files a lawsuit against Adidas, still continues to say that he had no idea as to what was going on.
Bogus.
He had no idea, Brett.
That's insane.
No, it's awesome.
You just run down the list of all of those allegations that Rick Pitino had, and throughout this whole time, he hasn't been able to come in the forefront and just say, "Hey, I screwed up. I made a mistake," and just move on. And instead, this thing's gonna kind of add legs, it's going to add layers, it's going to add stories, and we're going to continue to see him, and his commentary, I believe, will remain the same all the way through.
Do you think it's going to be like a Pete Rose thing where he'll deny his forever and ever until finally he gives up at some point, 30 years down the road.
I don't know. There's something about Rick Pitino. I just feel like he's never going to give in. I feel like he's always going to be that guy who wants to be seen for all the awesome things that he did as a coach, and he wants to be seen as one of the best college coaches of all time. He wants to be seen as that 34-year-old who took Providence to the Final Four. He wants to be seen as that coach who won championships with Kentucky and Louisville. So I think I think Rick Pitino's going to take this one to his grave.
You think he's just convinced himself?
I think he's just convinced himself that he did absolutely nothing wrong. This is the landscape of college basketball. Everybody else is doing it. Why am I always the person that gets caught up in this whole business?
Why can't I take steroids too?
That's his whole deal.
He's doing it.
Yeah, and he's okay with that, obviously. And my problem with Rick Pitino, when it's all said and done, is that he has no regard for anybody but himself. And you've seen that especially over the last 10 to 15 years. He went from that 34-year-old who was having a good time, still remembered his passion and his love for the game of basketball, and then he became what he is today. And that's selfish, that's a bad mentor, that's a cheater, it's a bad person all in all. And throughout this whole process, I haven't seen him say anything to the fact that he feels bad about the harm that he did to his players, about the harm that he did to his other coaches, about the harm that he did to his athletic director and his program in college basketball as a whole. And that we haven't seen from Rick Pitino. And that's what I would like to see. If he wants to go and he wants to file these lawsuits against Adidas, he wants to file lawsuits against Louisville, whatever he ends up doing from this point, he should always lead with the fact that he made a lot of mistakes and he hurt a lot of people and he put a lot of people in bad positions. When you look at the NCAA as a whole, I think it's time to agree that this doesn't work. And I think coaches as a whole, the NCAA as a whole, this is a bad system. This is a system that puts coaches in an awkward position of winning games, cheating, doing things the right way. Jay Billis is one of my favorite guys to listen to. I think the NCAA needs to have a meeting with him, get a Jay Billis board, and then figure out where to go from here. Until that point, until the NCAA does make changes, the NCAA and the coaches, they need to put their players first. And if I'm a coach in college basketball, I understand I'm recruiting players as early as 12 years old to come to my program. When they come to my program, they're not grown men, especially intellectually they're not grown men. So as a coach, I have to understand that I have a lot of responsibility for this player. I have a lot of responsibility for this player's family. And I think more than anything else, these coaches need to look in the mirror. They need to have an understanding every day before they go to practice, before they get in front of their team, they go to games, they do recruiting. Understand how they're going to recruit, how they're going to do it. Are they going to do it the right way? Are they going to make that an important piece of conversation with them and their staff? NCAA and coaches, put your players first. Allow them to grow as men. Allow them to grow as adults and players. And it is on you to help them grow on and off the court. All right, that's a wrap on Rick Pitino, FBI investigation. We're going to bring on a special guest that's with us every single time. Oh, we will be back here shortly. He is at the door. I'm going to go grab the man, Andy Mack. We're going to talk a little Xavier hoops in a minute. All right, welcome back, BeDFRNT Podcast. Keeping it old school with Andy Mack, one of our favorite segments where we're talking college hoops with Andy Mack Williams, a Cincinnati legend, a worldwide legend, a legend really in all essence of that word.
You know, I'm a little injured. You say one of your favorite segments. Isn't this the favorite segment for Brad Redford? Come on, let's prioritize.
I don't like to put things in a box.
You know,
okay. Some days it is my favorite segment. Some days it's my second favorite. Some days it might fall down to my third, but not very often. Most of the time it's either my top one or it's right there.
Well, I'm glad at least I'm on that pantheon of greatness with you, Brad, and it's just the glow of your Your excitement and your enthusiasm is enveloping me at this moment.
I know we shoot this really early, so sometimes it is a little bit challenging for me to get up. That's why. What kind of do you have a protein drink here?
This is my secret drink. My secret drink. I cannot reveal the contents of this. It is exclusive to Andy Mack. I'm going to be marketing this in the very near future. I'm sure nobody will ever buy it.
This is your secret juice right here. It looks like just like
don't touch that.
It looks like chocolate milk with a little bit of water in it. Is what it looks like to me.
Actually, it's Starbucks, like whatever. I mean, it seems to get me going. You know, previously you talked about the seedy side of college basketball, Rick Pitino, and may I add that Rick Pitino is not going to admit anything until they settle the money. He says he's owed $44 million by the University of Louisville. I'm sure that his legal team has made an offer to settle that, to keep this out of the headlines. Obviously, Louisville thinks they're on strong legal ground. They're not going to pay the guy a dime, at least in their perfect world. Pitino's going to fight this because he wants the dollars. And he'll slap on some egregious emotional damage stuff and build the whole deal up to $100 million. And this is going to go on for a while legally, I think.
Do you think he ends up getting all that money? Do you think he gets a good portion of that back?
I hope not. But with his legal team and considering how stubborn he is, I imagine there'll be some sort of settlement. Louisville's going to cry uncle at some point when this shows up every day in the paper. And
that's going to be a pain for them to deal with. I mean, they're not going to be able to get rid of it. I mean, he's going to continue to stay relevant with him staying in front of the camera. He's going to file lawsuits. I mean, I think he, for whatever reason, he enjoys it.
He's the Teflon Don. He's been in court before. This whole Karen Cyphers thing didn't bother him. He was embarrassed. His whole personal life was ripped apart. And I do have some inside information on that Italian restaurant deal. Rick actually and Karen shared an antipasto right before.
Oh, did they really? Were you able to talk with the server? Is that how you know that?
I went deep inside. You
got to be careful with how you're framing that. That was a little bit.
That's what Rick did.
Rick did. But
so I thought
the problem was that Rick likes anchovies and Karen didn't.
Wow, that was a big issue. Initially, I thought that the deed or whatever you want to call it went down on the pool table, but now I'm hearing that it went on the on just a regular table.
It wasn't even a pool table?
That wasn't a pool table. I thought it was.
That was a buffet table.
It was a buffet restaurant table.
There was no pool involved at all.
Yeah, there's just so many comments.
There's just a lot going on.
I'd say let's get away from the seedy side of college basketball. Brad, let's focus on what's going on the floor. The Xavier Musketeers, Team 96, as Coach Mack refers to them. They've been on the floor in extensive preseason practice for about 3 weeks. This is week number 3, and you played the game. You know what those Chris Mack practices are like. Give us an idea of what these guys are going through.
Well, they're not having fun, I can tell you that. They're ready to get out and play somebody else. When you get to that third week of practice, I mean, you want to quit playing the guys that are in your own locker room. You want to get out there and you want to play somebody else. Coach Mack practices are very, very detail-oriented. If you don't do something exactly how he wants it, he's going to stop practice. He's going to tell you did it wrong. Maybe not always in the nicest terms, but he's going to tell you that you did it wrong, then you're going to have to do it again. I mean, practices right now are running anywhere from 2.5 hours to over 3 hours.
And everything at a Chris Mack practice is scripted, it's timed, and it's scored. Very competitive. Every drill, very competitive. And I've been to practice about 3 times since the 1st of October. And I don't have much else going on in my life, so I go and watch for like.
So are you a consultant? Are you considered a consultant?
I have no input at all. I have no basketball knowledge other than I've watched a lot of games, and through osmosis over the years, I've seen things repeated. I'm not a total dunderhead. I do have some feel for the game. But Chris would never consult with me on anything basketball related.
I find that hard to believe.
Never.
I do. I find
never,
that hard to believe.
He did come up to me the other day and say, "What do you think of my freshmen?" I said, "I have never seen a group of freshmen as physically ready to play at the D1 level and as mentally tuned in and competitive as this group of 3 Xavier freshmen." Granted, on the blogosphere, they're all complaining, well, what happened to the big K, Kentravius Jones? That's a minus. And what happened to Jared Ritter? He went back to Missouri because he missed his mother's apple pie or something. And I wish him a lot of luck. I mean, he's going to go to Missouri State, I think, in the Missouri Valley Conference. I'm sure there were a lot of things going on, and he thought he was number 11 in a 10-man rotation. I think that's the main reason he left. He counted heads, and I'm not going to play much.
It's hard to even say that, though, because there's a lot of guys that I've seen, a few guys that come to mind that came to Xavier. A guy like James Farr. I think when James Farr initially got to Xavier, he was definitely the 11th man on that team, and he grew to a junior, senior year being one of the best players on the team. So I think it's hard as a freshman to come in and they feel like there's already the writing is on the wall, because I don't think that's true. I think if Jared Ritter continues to push, continues to work hard, eventually I think he can take over his spot and get to where he wants to be as a player.
I think a lot of guys just don't have the patience. They don't have the perspective. Look at Sean O'Mara. He's another example of a Xavier big who has gone through a 4-year progression. And you mentioned a great one in James Farr. He was just a perimeter shooter and didn't have any idea. He thought the defense was like a rash or something when he came in. He had no idea what to do. You got Jason Love in the not too distant past. You've got Larry Sykes. You've got Sean O'Mara now, who is I think going to be a real impact player in his 4th year. Heck, he was a great functional post player for Xavier through the Big East tournament and the NCAA. He scored the winning basket against Arizona. I mean, whew.
With how well that he played at the end of the season, you got to think defenses and opposing coaches are going to be doing more to not get him the ball, to not get him into situations on the post where he can make a play. How challenged do you think he is now that people are going to game plan for Sean O'Mara?
Well, they all know about him now.
Right.
He's not like just a little footnote on the scouting report. But I think Sean is at his best when he plays that pick-and-roll game. He has to be moving toward the basket, and the guards that Xavier has now are going to get him the ball. He's going to be – it's a 3-headed monster at the center spot for Xavier, as I see it right now, as we all expected, the 5-man, if you will. You've got Sean O'Mara, who should, for what it's worth, he should start based on his body of work. Tyreek Jones has improved. His waist is down to about 30 inches. He is sculpted. He's been in the weight room, and he's a power dunker. He loves contact. He's a nasty player, and that he'll go for the rebound. And, if you want to grab the ball from him, you're going to get an elbow right in the chops. It's going to cost you a trip to the dentist to play against Tyreek Jones. And look at what he did against Florida State. And look what he did against Justin Patton at Creighton in Omaha. First-round NBA draft choice. Patton wanted no part of him. This guy is a unique talent, and I think that Tyreek brings a player who is passionate and vocal. If this team has a problem, it's the players are not that overtly vocal. They don't talk that much. They're not visibly emotional, whereas Tyreek brings that passion, that toughness that everybody can sort of buy into.
Well, emotional. I know one of the guys that's emotional is J.P. McCura. But you take a look at the Xavier team, there's a lot of high expectations for this team. Last year, moving to the Elite Eight, they have the core nucleus of that team is all back. And when I look at this group, I see a lot of talent. I see a lot of experience. I see guys that have played in NCAA tournament games. I see guys that have played big in Big East games. I see a star in Trayvon Blewett who can average over 20 points a game. And then I see a legitimate number 2 in J.P. McCura. I mean, having that senior leadership and not just leadership, but guys that are going to go on the court and make it happen, I mean, that has to make Coach Mack and the Xavier fan base excited.
It's by far the most experienced team of the 9 that Chris Mack has had as head coach at Xavier. 4 rotational seniors, including Karem Cantor. He actually is a graduate student, but 4 seniors who are all going to play. 41 games of NCAA tournament experience on the roster. That is probably the leading figure in NCAA Division I. Nobody has more tournament experience, and it's been very, very positive. And you talk about J.P. McCura. Here's a player who has gotten better every year. Freshman, sophomore, he was the 6th man of the year in the Big East. Last year, obviously, a starter. At the end of the year, he's playing 38 minutes a game. I know you love the progression of his statistics. They've gone right up the hill. But, I look at JP like, Xavier's been slaughtered 3 years in a row at the Pavilion in Philadelphia against Villanova. Who's played well in all 3 of those games? In the toughest venue, J.P. McCura. The UC Bearcats, crosstown shootout. I love that game. It's not as important, maybe you can argue, with the Xavier now in the Big East and the NCAA carrot down at the end of the year. But 3 years in a row, J.P. McCura has gotten better and better. He's contributed all 3 years in that game. He's hit the big shots on the road at Providence and many other. This guy is a stone-cold killer. He is just a tremendous all-court basketball player.
Yeah, he is, and he's not a guy on the offensive end who just relies on his three-point shot. I mean, he is attacking at all times. He attacks in transition. He attacks in the half court. When he gets to the basket, he does a good job of drawing fouls. He can finish. If he gets his three-point shot consistency up a little bit to, a higher 30 percentile, if he can somehow stretch it in the 40s, which I don't see that happening, I mean, that would be a major bonus for the Xavier team and for JP's overall game.
I describe him as Dennis the Menace meets Eddie Haskell from Leave It to Beaver. That's a reference way back. That's way back with Andy Mack. Meets the Tasmanian Devil. This guy has an unbelievable makeup, and he is the most hated player in the Big East Conference. I mean, every fan base, every player despises playing against J.P. McCura, and he's an interesting guy in that this year he's going to get rid of that T-shirt he used to wear under the uniform, apparently, because he wants to showcase the guns that he's built up in the weight room.
Did he say that? That's why he's not wearing a long-sleeve shirt.
Exactly.
He wants to showcase his biceps.
Show what good work he's done with Matt Jennings in the weight room.
That's funny. Usually people that do that don't voice it to the rest of the audience. They just allow it to happen and then let people, go ahead and make that commentary themselves.
JP is not shy. He did a podcast interview with the Big East, 3 or 4 weeks ago. And they asked him, a stock question. Who is the player in the Big East that you play against that is the most difficult to guard? And he goes, frankly, I'm not going to answer that question because I don't want to give those guys any credit whatsoever.
I like that.
Do you think if he starts off slowly, puts the tee back on?
Yes, I do.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. I think if he starts off slow, the tee goes back on. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I mean,
I don't think it's necessarily going to happen either. What I'm saying,
Well, and if you're playing in a really cold building, like the Dunkin' Donuts Center in Providence, they've got an American Hockey League team. They just cover the ice up with a little cork board. I think just from a comfort standpoint, you want to wear the T-shirt.
Yeah.
Maybe like a sweater vest when you play there. That place is.
You're a big sweater vest guy, aren't you, Andy?
I'm really big because it hides the folds of my. Whatever.
Oh, jeez. I'm more of a cardigan guy. I like a good cardigan in the winter.
Team cardigan for sure.
In fall, you get a light cardigan. In the winter, you get like a little bit heavier cardigan. Andy, real quick, I know today we're doing a tour over at Xavier. You were able to set that up this afternoon, but I know you've already seen some of the things that are going on at the Cintas Center. Can you kind of just touch on some of the new deals they got going on over there?
Well, they're kicking all the media off press row because they're selling those seats for big bucks, which is fine.
Really?
I
didn't know
understand.
that.
It's all.
So where's press row going to be? Is it on the baseline?
I think it's non-existent. I'm not sure. I don't even know where I'm going to sit right now. Hopefully, I'll have a view of the court. That's all I need. I need a view of the court and a little desk to write my notes because you have a computer. I have my notes that are.
Well, I have notes too. I just type my notes out.
I'm old school, as you say.
Problem is, Andy, I can't read my writing. I can't read my writing. I see yours. You got this all written up on the deal. Like I mean, I feel like I cannot read what you have written here. I'm good. I'm good right here.
Jeez.
I mean, this looks good to me.
But an overview of Xavier basketball as I've seen it. I think the 3 freshmen are all going to compete for playing time. Right now, Paul Scruggs would be chomping for a lot of minutes at either the lead guard or the two guard. And I see him and Quentin Gooden. Everybody's, well, it's Quentin Gooden against Paul Scruggs for the point guard. I don't see it that way. I think those guys are going to play a lot together.
And who would be the two in that situation? Would Paul be more of a two than Quentin?
I don't know. I think they're point guard 1 and 1A in my book. And they're back in the old days with Holloway and Lyons, they were 1 and 1A. But these are bigger guys. These are 6'3", 6'4" guys. You've got two big downhill guards. And I want to see the matchup against those little pipsqueak guards of Marquette. Rousey and Marcus, Howard. Yeah. Marcus Howard. I mean, they embarrassed Xavier last year. They went nuts. They were jumping up on score tables and doing whatever. Rousey was taking his dives. He's the biggest diver in the history of basketball. I want to see the expression on their face when Quentin Gooden and Scruggs come right at him.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it.
Guard
I really
that,
am. I am. Paul Scruggs, Quentin Gooden, those guys are physically gifted. I mean, especially at the point guard position. An exciting year for the Xavier Musketeers, no doubt. And, Andy, we're going to be with you all year long, getting your feedback, getting your reviews on the Xavier team, where they stand, what they need to improve on. And I'm looking forward to kind of moving forward with you on this, Andy.
I can't wait to interact with Leonard Stokes,
yes.
the UC guy. I mean, I respect Leonard. He escaped from Buffalo, New York, which is a major deal. He had a great game in the NCAA against UCLA. I think it was in Pittsburgh. Great shooter. Seems to be a fine guy. We are definitely going to have our differences of opinion as the shootout approaches.
Leonard, I think, is at the door right now, so we'll go grab Leonard.
I love Leonard, but we're going to go to war.
Andy's been talking some smack. Leonard's been talking some smack. We're going to get you guys in front of each other soon, and that is Keeping It Old School with Andy Mack.
Thank you, Andy.
All right, we are back. Andy Mack is out of the building. We are not talking Xavier basketball anymore. Xavier basketball, we're done with. We're not going to deal with that right now. We're going to move on to the Cincinnati Bearcats, lacing up with Leonard Stokes. Leonard is in the building. Leonard's going to be with us all year long. He's going to be giving us everything you see, everything that he wants to highlight from around the country. That's where we're going. So, Leonard, what's going on today?
How's it going this morning?
I feel pretty good. It's still a little bit early for me right now, and I haven't had my coffee in. Right now, Nick, you gave a weird look. Are we okay here?
I don't know, man. Everything is still so iffy right now. I'm just making sure. Can you give me a little mic check for me, Leonard?
Mic check.
Oh, okay, he's good.
Oh, you're good.
We're just making sure because we got to make sure that the people can hear you. It's important that when you are here that we are getting full audio, that we're getting the full lacing up with Leonard Stokes. It's important right now.
You got to speak up, man. It's a little early, man. The sun's not even
It is. You look good, though. You look a lot better than we do here. We're all, once again, in sweats. I made Greg take his hat off. We try to look a little more professional. But you're in here. You got a fitted button-up on. You got a watch, a beautiful watch on here. I mean, you can't see the shoes.
Machine, you got.
Man. I mean, gosh.
Was that was it bicep day today or what?
No. Just a little fitted on my shirt. It's a good one, man.
Looking strong over there.
So you got a big weekend coming up, homecoming over at UC. They got, for whatever reason, they want you in the VIP. I'm not sure why they would want that.
Yeah, I must have got my name picked out of a hat, man. A lucky guy.
So you get all the perks, man. You get all the. I don't get any perks anymore. I get no perks when I walk in anymore, man.
Actually, no way possible.
All I get is a handshake and a hug. I get a handshake and a hug, and
I am not buying that for a second.
Maybe a kiss on the cheek, but that's about it, man.
I mean, they make Greg and I pay, so
yeah, I got to pay to go. So. What's going on in UC land? Anything going on with the team that we should be aware of? I know. Have you been able to go to a practice a couple times? How have those practices been going? What's the intensity of Coach Gronin and the guys right now?
Man, intense, man. I was in practice last Thursday, maybe. May have been last Thursday. Mick was getting after it, man. Getting on the guys. The thing that impresses me most though about Mick is, for me, I was there 18 years ago. It was my freshman year. And, I mean, Mick was an assistant. And just to watch him grow and evolve as a basketball mind, I mean, the things that he was telling the kids in practice Thursday, I mean, it was good to hear and good to see. But he was intense. He was after it.
What was Coach Cronin like as an assistant coach?
I mean, he was younger back then.
Yeah.
Still had the intensity and the knowledge, but I mean, he was a younger coach, so I mean, you have to earn the respect, and just to see where he is now compared to where he is then is day and night.
So percentage-wise, is it about 50-50 defense and offense, or is he more of an 80-20 guy in practice? I mean, is the defensive side, is that his main deal right now, or have you seen him kind of switch throughout the years?
I mean, playing for Mick, you're gonna have to play defense. I mean, the history of his teams have always been, the defense. So, but I think this year he's concentrating a little more on offense. The guys are getting up and down a little bit more. I think with the point guards that he has, I think those guys are up and down and push the basketball. So he's been concentrating a little more on that.
And a big reason for that offensively likely is going to be Kane Broom, who I know we wanted to touch over today. And everything that I'm hearing out of the UC camp is extremely positive. When you look at any writings, any commentary about this guy, Kane Broom, who transferred from Sacred Heart, sat out last year at UC. I mean, I've heard nothing but incredible things about his speed, about his ability to get to the rim.
Yeah, he's lightning quick, man. I mean, if you blink, you'll miss him. So he's good. I think the thing that he's gonna have to focus on is when you're that quick and that fast, you're a risk taker. So limiting turnovers is gonna be big for him. But I think if he can do that, he'll be a stud.
Yeah, 'cause at Sacred Heart, he would, for each game, he had 3.8 turnovers, assists about 2.5. So he was averaging more turnovers than assists. That obviously isn't going to be something that bodes well with Coach Cronin.
Yeah, he's not. I don't think that that ratio will fly. I think Mick will get him under control, and he's just got to pick his spots, and that's going to be early on. There'll be a learning curve there. With him being new, getting the ball to Jacob, getting the ball to Cumberland. But I think once he figures it out, I think he'll be more than all right.
His up and down game, is that where you see him attacking more in transition? Is that going to be his best deal in one-on-one situations? I mean, everything that I've looked at so far is transition-wise, Kane Broom is going to be able to go up and down and get by pretty much anybody he wants.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, you can see it in practice. I mean, he can get the ball to the basket. I mean, he knows how to draw contact to be a little guy. He's fearless. He gets in there and mixes it up. But once he gets you on your heels, I think you're in trouble.
Well, a lot of high expectations for this UC team. Kane Broom is one of the reasons why. Won 30 games last year. Really, the only key loss right now, Troy Copain.
Correct.
UC primarily has everything back. Where do you think the ceiling is for this team?
I think sky's the limit, man. I looked at the team. The team is deep. They're a big team. And I was impressed when I was in practice those few days. I mean, the team looks good. They got some good size. Kyle Washington. I think they'll be all right, man. I was really impressed.
And then, are they doing practices right now in the auxiliary gym over at UC?
Yeah, the practice gym.
Okay, and then are they going to be doing some practices over at Northern Kentucky as well? Are you aware of how they're going to handle practice?
I don't know, but I would assume that you've got to get in there and kind of get a feel for the place before before you start to play in some of the games. So,
All right, Leonard, I got a question for you.
yes,
I need a way too early seeding for NCAA tournament. Where you at?
man,
Way too early
for UC.
for UC. I mean, we can do Xavier too. I'm curious to see what you say.
We're writing this down too, just so you know. So
UC,
we're gonna bring this up.
I'm actually gonna go 3 seed.
Ooh.
Because I think we're projected to win the conference, but throughout the history we haven't gotten the best draw.
Correct.
Yeah,
within the
that's fair.
conference. So I will go to 3 seed.
3 seed.
Do you
I don't mind the 3 seed. I like that if they get a 3 seed, that means they got to beat Xavier at Xavier,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you're going to have to win that game, and then they have one more. Are they at UCLA?
At UCLA.
I mean, if
in
they're
December.
able to get Xavier and they're able to get UCLA and they likely win the American Conference, I mean, I think a 3 seed is reasonable.
Yeah, for sure.
Based on
I
how
agree.
good they were last year too.
I think it was, so UC was picked by, I think, 1 vote over Wichita State to win the AAC.
Right.
And I think Wichita State won 31 games last year, and they returned all 5 starters. Right. So I think that says a lot for what people think how UC could progress this year if they're getting picked over Wichita State and they're returning all 5 starters.
Right.
I think
there's
that says
definitely
something.
there's definitely a lot of respect for UC across the country right now.
And there were no UC players are picked to win the conference, but no UC player was picked on the first team AAC.
Yeah.
Kind of
Wow.
Disrespectful.
yeah.
But I think that they're going to get it done by committee. I mean, Gary Clark is going to be Gary. He's going to rebound. He's not going to be the guy that gets you 25 points a night. It'll be steady, around 12 to 15 points. I think Kane will get in and mix it up. Jacob's going to be Jacob. The interesting person is going to be Cumberland to see where he kind of, plays out as a sophomore. I think he's had a good summer. He's looking real good. So
How does he look physically? Does he look thinner?
yeah, he's thinner.
A little thinner?
Yeah, he's down.
Yeah, the cardio's up a little bit. All right, that's lacing it up with Leonard Stokes. Leonard,
Whoa, Brad.
we're gonna move on.
Xavier, you're way too early.
What do you mean, Xavier? Why are we going to Xavier?
I need your
we
way
need to
too
see.
early too.
Way too early on Xavier?
Yeah.
And UC?
Well, he said the 3. What are you saying?
I think
So-
that the Xavier game is going to be the key game because that you can never
I
tell.
need to see that.
I wasn't trying to give you.
He's tried to skirt out of
All
this.
right, I'll give you my 2. I was trying to get out before
I
you
know.
asked me, and I knew Nick was hawking me on that.
I've been staring at your
So, yeah, it's a tough one. I think Xavier ends up with a higher seed. I think they do because I think Xavier wins the Big East based on who they have.
Ooh.
I do. I think
Mark
Xavier wins.
that down,
I do.
yeah.
I'll write that down, and
All
that's
right.
not just because I think that they
got
have
some
the
homers
most
over
talent, the
here.
most experience.
October
It's Xavier.
18th,
Well,
Wednesday.
I think UC ends up with the 5 seed. I think
Okay.
they go with the 5, and I think Xavier gets a 4.
Okay.
I think Xavier gets a 4.
Wait, you're telling me
and
to
I think
win the
UC
Big
gets a
East and
5.
get a 4 seed?
Yes. That's what I'm saying. What? Because you're going to lose a lot of games in the Big East too. I think they win the Big East with 4 losses.
Wow.
Seton
I think if
Hall's
you
gonna
win,
be tough
you win
this
that,
year.
you win the
Tell
Big
me.
East,
Yeah,
you
Seton Hall's
got to
gonna be
be a
good.
2 seed.
I'm going 5 seed for Xavier.
All right.
3 seed.
You can write it down. I got a 4 Xavier. I got a 5 UC. And then Leonard's got what
3
did
and
you?
5.
Yeah,
3
he's
and
got a
5.
3 and 5.
All right.
So we'll have to make a wager. I'll buy Leonard a drink if I lose. Is that fair
I need
enough?
something more.
I think
harsh
for
than that.
the crosstown shootout, you guys place a bet, and whoever loses has to wear
Ooh.
the other school
On camera.
on campus for a day walking around.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
What do you mean? I'm gonna just go to
yeah. You're just gonna
UC? I can't just take a picture.
No. You're going to Xavier with UC on.
I'll wear a Leonard Stokes jersey.
Oh, there you go. I like that.
But I might wear a Leonard Stokes jersey either way.
Either way.
Yeah. So I mean, actually,
My guys got to pull us off for me, man. That's 45,000 students on our campus, man. It's gonna be tough to walk around with
that'd be
this
tough. That would be tough. That's gonna be that's gonna be a great game now.
Yeah, I agree.
That's gonna be a great game. UC beat the Muskies down pretty good last year, but going into Cintas and winning is tough.
Cintas winning
Cintas
is tough, especially with that environment over there is it's pretty intense environment, man. Playing in Cintas.
Trayvon's pretty good. Trayvon can score, man. I'm a big Trayvon fan.
Yeah, I am too. So.
Trayvon and JP. My favorite player on UC is Jacob Evans, though. I like Jacob Evans.
Good two-way player. He
Yeah,
defends
yeah.
and he can score.
Well, now we're going to move on to my favorite segment, and this is pretty. Don't get complicated. This is a really complicated segment, but we call it the Hat Gamble.
Okay.
And what we do is we just put a bunch of these white pieces of paper into a hat. Depending on what we're talking about, we pull it out, then we debate it.
Okay.
And since in light of the NBA starting up last night, and the NBA is all about matchups, all about one-on-one matchups, we put one-on matchups that we would like to see, and we put it in this hat.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be strictly related to basketball players. It can be people outside of basketball. It can be actors. Could be presidents. I don't know. Could be Donald Trump versus King Jong-un. I don't know. I don't know. I would like to see that.
Yeah,
I really don't know who would win that game.
Is that how we get that resolved?
Yeah, that's what we should do.
That's how
we should do a one-on-one game on an island, on a remote island.
I'd be pretty stoked if we resolved all world conflicts by basketball.
By
one-on-one
I'd feel pretty
basketball
confident
games?
in how we'd fare.
Yeah, we
That would
definitely-
that would go well. That would go well. And
I'd root for LeBron a lot more. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right, Leonard, I'll let you pull out the first one. Now, Greg's writing is pretty horrendous, so I don't know if we'll be able to read it.
This one says Drake versus ASAP Rocky.
Oh.
Nick, I'm gonna let you start on that
ASAP
one.
all
I'm going with
day.
ASAP. Yeah,
He
I'm
would
going
ASAP would punch him in the mouth. Greg would cry and take his ball home, and
Greg,
ASAP would win 1-0.
So we got Leonard, Nick, you got ASAP,
Going
Greg.
ASAP.
I mean, I'm gonna go ASAP. I don't, I'm not much of a. I don't listen to a lot of rap music, so.
Yeah, I'm
ASAP.
just picturing Drake in the locker room listening to Marvin's Room and then coming out and playing. So I'm gonna go with ASAP
Yeah, I'm
Rocky
going
on
ASAP.
that one.
It's pretty unanimous there.
I'll grab the next one. Okay. Okay, this one says Kobe versus Vince, and then under Kobe versus Vince, it says prime. Does this mean Kobe versus Vince in their primes?
I didn't write that. Nick's got
Yeah, that was
terrible
me.
handwriting too.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I write like a child.
Kobe
But I just
versus
mean,
Vince,
like,
not
yeah.
today, in their primes.
in their prime.
Yeah, correct.
You got to go Kobe, man. Kobe. You can't even debate one-on-one. Who wrote Kobe's name down in a one-on-one? He's gonna win everything.
I think Kobe too. I
Yeah,
agree
go
with
Kobe.
that. I think Kobe in a one-on-one versus. I mean, Kobe's one of the best one-on-one scorers, isolation scorers of all time. That's what he does.
You know what would have been
not
interesting
gonna
to
say
see
anything.
Kobe Bryant in his prime without the triangle offense? That guy may have averaged 45 points.
I've never heard that point. Nick,
That's
you
awesome.
obviously
Yeah.
you got to talk because you wrote this one down.
No, I mean I think Kobe wins. It's just like I've heard you talk so highly of Vince Carter.
Well, I love
in
Vince
the-
Carter.
in the
I mean,
past.
Vince Carter
I
is the
was-
best dunker of all time. I love Vince.
Remember Vince jumped over that guy in the
Oh,
Olympics?
was the best.
7. We talk about that like once
That
a
was the
week.
best. I still
Man.
remember I was like eating dinner, watching it on like a little mini TV. We were like out, and me and my buddy like almost upturned the table
Yeah.
because it was the best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, Kevin Garnett lost his mind. If you go back and look at that footage, he's just standing there yelling and screaming.
Yeah.
And Vince turns around and they chest bump. I said, man, that's-
Well, I was big into gaming at that point. I played the NBA game that they had on PlayStation. And I remember after Vince Carter had that amazing performance in the slam dunk contest, then they put it in the game. And I remember being Vince Carter in the game, and then you could hit like the circle, XX square, and then he'd do like a triple reverse, double backflip spin. Then he put his elbow in the rim, and it was pretty fun.
Okay, a little off topic here. So like, do you think Kobe beats anyone? Period. Forever.
No, not anyone. I think.
Do you think
I think
Kobe Mike?
Yeah, I think Kobe Mike is a good one-on-one, but yeah, I don't think he beats Mike hands down in his prime.
Yeah,
I think
they're just the
Kobe-
two
I
biggest
think Kobe
competitors
beats
that
LeBron.
ever was.
Yeah,
I think Kobe beats LeBron. Kobe and MJ would be the one-on-one matchup I'd like to see.
yeah, I agree.
What?
Did you just throw him back?
Yeah.
Well,
we just literally talked about it. We just went over it.
what was it?
Probably Kobe Mike.
It was Kobe versus Mike.
Oh yeah.
Or
we could-
no, or it was MJ versus LeBron.
Oh yeah, we just.
Oh, okay. I picked this one. Mick Cronin versus Chris Mack.
Ooh, that's good.
I feel like that's an easy one.
You think?
Yeah.
Leonard, what do you think?
Man, Cronin.
There's no way. There is no way. You know that is not true. Come on. I think the height is going to be a big factor in this one, and Chris was a really good player.
Chris was a good player.
Chris was a really good player.
Mick had some knee injuries
Yeah.
in high school.
He's going knee
injuries. No, he did. He was a player, but I think Chris has the height advantage. Chris had a good career,
Yeah, you had a great career.
but I'm sticking with my Bearcats. I'm going Mick Cronin on that.
I love the blind loyalty.
I love that.
Matt, it's Chris all day. but-
I've seen Chris Mack shoot the basketball. I haven't seen many highlights of him in his day, but I know that Chris can still play.
Listen, I played my freshman year. We used to go over and play pickup at night against the Xavier guys, David West, Lionel, Sato, all of those guys. So Chris Mack was playing over in Europe and was back and would play. Chris Mack talks a lot of trash.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
A lot of trash. Like I'm a freshman. He's just out there mouthing off. I'm like, man, what is wrong with this? Who is this guy?
Well, it's funny because I train a lot of basketball players in there, and their dads will come in and like, yeah, I played with Chris at the YMCA, and he was talking the whole time. I'm like, man, there's no off switch on that. Like if you're a guy who gets on the court and you play, you talk trash at all times. That's his deal.
Yeah,
That
he was
gets him
definitely a
love
going.
trash
that.
talker.
Yeah,
love that.
but obviously I got Chris.
I'm going Mac.
Yeah, I gotta go Max. Sorry, dude.
So 3-1.
3-1.
All right, Nick, last one here.
Last one. We are gonna do This is good, actually. Brad Redford versus Leonard Stokes.
Ooh.
The funny thing is, we can actually test that one.
Now,
is it make it, take it?
No, is it make? Oh, is it?
Because that's going to cause some.
We're talking ones, make it, take it.
I gotta go with myself, man.
All ones.
Ones, make it, take it.
All ones.
All ones make it, take it. I definitely win.
We can go ones and twos if we want.
Ooh.
Ones and twos is fine.
Ones and twos would make it a lot more challenging on Leonard.
Man, 100% more.
Because twos are greater than ones.
Yeah. And you are the king of the twos.
So I know who you guys are gonna pick. I wonder who.
I'm so Drake. Honestly, I don't even know who to pick. Okay. Question: how often are you still playing, Leonard? How often are you still playing?
Not as often. If this was a game that happened right now, I would I'd be a little worried, a lot worried.
We'd have to set an event time when this would go
You guys can
down,
prep?
and we
Yeah,
get a
right.
month
Yeah,
to get
I'm all
ourselves
about
ready
that.
and conditioned.
I'm
You're a
all
little
about
pro.
that. So we can talk.
Yeah.
We can
We're
talk
gonna have
crap
to,
now.
this is gonna have to happen in some
now
point.
it has to happen.
I'm all off. I'm off athleticism. I mean, I gotta stop and pop. And as you get a little bit older, that stuff gets tougher to do.
I gotcha.
This guy, when you can shoot the ball like he shot the ball, he's gonna be 70 years old shooting the ball.
I'm a pattern player. My friends used to joke with me that I'd be shooting free throws for a living until I was 80.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You go in the gym, you see Redford. How many did you make in a row today, Redford?
Yeah, right.
Like I'm some sort of circus clown. Thankfully, that didn't happen with my life. I've moved on to different things.
we
Leonard,
can get you there.
can you still jam?
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
But I'm not blowing by anybody 360 or windmill anymore. But
Don't disrespect my ability to, chuck and hand
I
check and
gotcha.
hold. And
I'm
don't.
not saying you're completely weak, but
I will
that
foul the
shirt, that
crap out
fitted
of
shirt says that he's stronger than you.
Ooh, I don't.
So it seems like each of you. I didn't think about this when I read this. Like it kind of comes down to us because I'm pretty sure they're each going to take themselves.
Oh yeah, you have to.
you have
I'm not going to say I can't win until I lose.
yeah. And then even then, you can still have an excuse. You still have an excuse. Even when I lose, I say, "Hey, man."
I'm gonna always take the
Wasn't
excuse.
in
I agree.
shape.
I'm gonna go if it was ones, I'd have to go with Leonard. But if we were ones and twos, make it, take it. Depends on the coin flip. Because I have seen you shoot in person, Brad. I watched you make a lot of half-court shots in a row.
Yeah.
I watched you make like 40-some threes in a row,
Yeah.
all from different spots.
I don't even know how you do that though. I had a teammate, Phil Williams, that made 66 3-pointers
Because I had to.
in a row.
I
But
had no choice.
I'm standing out there like, how, like, I don't even have the patience to sit out there and bomb 60 to do that.
I always tell people it was a severe case of OCD. That's what it was. I think I had OCD as a kid.
Were you always like, shooting the ball, were you always a good shot? Or was it, like, when did you know, like, yeah, I'm lights out with this 3-point jump shot?
I was always a pretty good shooter, but when I got to high school, I was lights out.
Okay.
When I got to my sophomore year, because I changed a couple things about my shot from freshman to sophomore year. I always had a knack for shooting, but then I went from like a mid-30s shooter to a mid-40s by like a couple of the changes that I made, and I was a mid-40s guy from when I was a sophomore in high school all the way through college. I mean, I started probably making 90 out of 100 when I was 15, and then I could always shoot like that. I could shoot at a high college level by the time I was a sophomore in high school for sure.
Yeah, you're the type of guy I used to hate, man. He run you off a million screens, practice all week. You got to run through screen drills. It's like, man, goodness, man.
Yeah. It's a wrap.
So do we have to answer?
Oh, yeah. Are you guys going to answer?
Oh, I was
We're
hoping we
done.
get out of it.
I'm thinking that this one is just a tale for the tape that will happen in a couple months.
I don't know if I'm. Cause Leonard, how tall are you? Are you 6'5", 6'6"?
6'5.5".
6'5". Look at that. 6'5".
I'm not 6'5".
I know. I thought that.
You're what? You're
reach.
like what? 6'3"?
No, 6'1". 6'1". 6'1" on a really good day. 6'3", I'll take that.
Yes. I don't know.
I'm saying
I
this
think
is to
it's
be
still-
determined.
Yeah, I think it's.
We're gonna set
No,
a date.
I mean no offensive rebounds. No offensive rebounds.
no,
One shot.
Once it's
One shot.
miss, it's
Oh,
over.
one shot.
Oh, one shot. No
Oh,
offensive?
that's. I think you're pulling a Willie Cunningham and making things a little easier on yourself.
We gotta put the guidelines together. Once we have the guidelines together, then I think we get back to it.
You can
Alright,
you
fair.
can only shoot threes, and you only get one chance.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, that was Lacing Up with Leonard, the Hat Gamble. All right, Leonard, appreciate having you. Leonard, you're going to take us through UC basketball, through NBA, college basketball, all the way through this season. So we're
all the
looking,
way through. I'm here, man.
yeah, we're looking forward to having you back.
Definitely.
All right, thanks, Leonard.
Thank you.
All right, there it is. Oh, yeah. You ready for it? You ready for this?
Yeah, you're good to
You've
go.
never heard me rap, Leonard, have you?
Oh, you're going to love it.
All right, here we go. Guys, you know that every time that we finish the Be Different podcast, that we always finish with a little bit of a rap. Leonard's got the headphones on. I'm excited to show him my rap prowess right now. We're taking over the 2 Chainz beat, 4 a.m., and of course, it's got to be about Rick Pitino. I got to turn this up, though.
It's like Rick.
Guys, as loud as it goes. I got to move it closer here. Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah. Yeah, heck yeah, I cheated. I'm Rick Pitino. My whole staff been scheming like we in Reno. But this time I got caught up. I need some vino. Now my life is like a movie, and we watching Carlino. Yo, I just hope I can make it through, but I'm Rick Pitino, I'll never lose. All red like we in Louisville. All red, you know I got it still. They can't stop me, I've been winning, even though y'all know I'm sinning. All these ships got me grinning, I've been cheating from the beginning. And yo, I'm a slime ball, look at my hair, yeah. And yo, I'm a slime ball, look at what I wear, yeah. This white tux has dollars everywhere, yeah. This white tux shows you that I don't care, but I can't win these shits without paying kids these bills. Now what's a stack of money when you know you making meals? That 03 scandal, that really sent me chills, but I hit it on the pool table. Karen, how that feel? Yeah, took Viagra, so I'm guessing that felt good, yeah. But after that, I was scared that I'd get sued. My true love, well, that's money. My second, well, that's honeys. But these days, my life isn't looking so lovely. Yeah, scandal this, scandal that, man, I just want my job back. Coach a ring, buy your team, how that makes my heart sing. Send that money, call collect. No respect, I'll write the check. Besides, I the NCAA on payroll. Damn, I lost my job. I'm Rick Pitino. Listen, I'm sorry to my fans. I'm Rick Pitino. It's okay, I made those bills. You're just as Louisville. You know the boy was making meals. Man, I just want to coach another Final Four. I want to win a chip and kick all them blue chips out the door. Sign with me, Pitino. I'll take you to the money store. TMT and Floyd got nothing on me. Good Lord, plus I've been making monies. Plus I've been playing honeys. Cardinal Nation love me, but this money got me money. Adidas paid, players paid, no matter what. I'm paid, I know it's late, but either way, my squad is getting laid. Did you see that I fit the bill for them strippers? Yeah, did you see that our staff always delivers? Yeah, we got money, women, we winning all these games. I'm just cheating, then leaving. I'm never ashamed because it's all a part of coaching. It's all a part of poaching. I'll throw all those white tats from the FBI in the ocean. Then I'll come in, ride so high, jet up here. I'm so fly, don't ask me why. Clean and fitted, Rick Pitino, I'm that guy. I lost my job, I'm Rick Pitino. I'm sorry to my fans, I'm Rick Pitino. It's okay, I made those bills. Man, just ask Louisville. You know the boys making meals. I'm Rick Pitino. I'm Rick Pitino. That's a wrap, fellas. Be Different Podcast, Week 1. Welcome to the journey.